you. Isn't this an awesome event? I love that Michelle has put this together. Among other things, primarily in my life, I am actually an artist. I write. I have a play. If you are in New York City on the 15th of this month, please come by the American Career Studios for my play. I've been working in the arts for a number of years, and I gotta tell you, I'm recently starting to think that, having spent a number of years in the corporate world before that these two worlds shouldn't be as dissimilar as they have been. I get really tired when people tell me things like they're not artists. The reality is that if you've turned on a television in the last 2 years, or if you've gone to a movie, or if you've decided to wear the blue shirt instead of the green shirt, you are an artist. It's our birthright as human beings. As children, we are all artists. And we need to learn to release that. And we need to learn to release that in our creative lives, and we need to learn to release that in our business lives as well. You know, I want to spend a few minutes just looking at 3 of my favorite works of art. You know, time is the great editor. We don't know. We won't know for 100 years whether the work we're creating now is truly great, right? Time clears out all the crap. We look at the ages of the past, we go, wow, everything they made was so great 100 years ago. Well, the reality is all the crap from 100 years ago is gone. We don't have it anymore. We've only got the good stuff, right? In 100 years, are we still going to be singing our songs? You know, baby, 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 I don't know. I don't know. We'll find out. Ask me in 100 years. But I want to go back a few hundred years, and I want to look at 3 of my favorite works of art because I think they have really cool things to teach us. Really, really neat stuff. I want to look at what might be the most famous painting in the history of the Western art, the most famous sculptor in the history of the Western art, and the most famous fresco. I want to start with the most famous painting. Any guesses? Yeah. She's a given, isn't she? I have to admit, I have seen the other 2 pieces of work I'm going to talk about, but I have not seen the Mona Lisa. But everyone I have seen, everyone who I've talked to who has seen the Mona Lisa has told me the same 2 things. They stand in line and they wait 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 and they wait. You finally get to see her and they say the same 2 things. She's really small. And the other thing they say is, what's the big deal with her? There's stuff to learn here. I don't know for sure. I was not there. Leonardo and I have not had the chat yet. I'm waiting for him to return my emails. But something really interesting was going on with Leonardo in that painting. He painted that piece when he was in sort of late middle age, lived for a couple of years afterwards. He loved it. He carried that painting with him everywhere he went. On top of being a brilliant everything, artist, inventor, speak about everything. I think he did motivational speaking on the side, I don't know, all kinds of stuff, right? On top of everything else, apparently he had a brilliant sense of humor. Leonardo da Vinci carried that painting with him everywhere he went for the rest of his life until he was very old and he sold it to the King of France. This painting would walk around. He was incredibly famous. He was a pop star of his day, right? And people, while he was still alive, were looking at this painting going, what's with that painting? What's with that painting? It's kind of small. Right? Rumor had it that if you were going to invite Leonardo over for a meal, and that would be a great meal because he was really funny and he was really upbeat, right? You had to set 2 chairs because sometimes he'd bring the painting to supper and set up and people would go, what's with that painting? Leonardo was smart and he had a brilliant sense of humor, and I think what he was doing, quite frankly, was I think he was messing with us. I think he was going, if I carry this thing around, they're all going to create, he wouldn't have used the word buzz. But he created a buzz that lasted for a couple 100 years. After a couple 100 years, she became one more painting on a wall in France. And then she was stolen. 1922, the Mona Lisa was stolen. A caretaker hung out in the closet, waited for the museum to close, came out in the dark, grabbed her, put him under his coat, and when the museum opened, he walked out the front door with her. Suddenly she's famous again. Now she's famous for being stolen. If we're going to be great, if we're going to create something that's great, if we're going to create teams that are great, if we're going to create art that is great, we need to create a buzz. We need to be talking about stuff. Look at the people here. I was at the first Motivational Monday. I think there were 8 of us. Right? We're growing because there's a buzz going on. There's a website. There's not a website. There's a Facebook page. There's a LinkedIn account. Michelle is on there talking away about stuff. Right? We create a buzz, and it works. It works. It worked for Leonardo. Seriously, Mona Lisa, Paris Hilton of her day, right? Famous for being famous, right? The second piece I want to talk about is most famous statue in the history of Western art. Who else, right? The first metaphor is really easy. That thing is huge. He's like 15 feet tall. He towers above every sculpture in Italian Renaissance. He's enormous. Do we need to really actually draw the metaphors on that? Thinking big works. It always has. Thinking a little bigger, thinking a little outside the box. We've all heard the story about how the original piece of Carrara marble was rejected by the builders because it had this big gouge out the side of it, and this great genius went, there's something inside there. Right? Another pretty easy metaphor. I want to talk about the time I saw it.